Today we will be comparing a level 3 20 marker answer with a level 4 20 marker answer to find out what's the difference between a level 3 answer and a level 4 answer and how we can improve our grades. But before we compare the answers, we need to refamiliarize ourselves with the levels. For AO1, a level 3 would be between 5 to 6 marks. So that would mean a good knowledge and understanding of the rules and principles. The response should be detailed but not fully developed in places. It would have good citation of relevant case laws, but a level 4 answer would have excellent knowledge and understanding of the legal system, rules and principles. The response would be accurate, fully developed and detailed. So in all places, your response will be fully developed. Obviously not 100%, but they're looking for something over 90% developed and detailed. And there needs to be excellent citation of relevant case laws. So that means not getting bogged down in the details of the case laws. Now we can look at levels for AO2. A level 3 AO2 would be worth 79 marks. A good application of legal rules to a given scenario. So the legal rules that you define in your AO1, they need to be applied to the scenario. And a good application of the legal rules to the scenario is level 3 and it can be worth between 7 to 9 marks. A good presentation of a legal argument which is detailed but not fully developed in places. So you're going to present legal arguments and they're going to be detailed but not developed in places. So there'll be places where it needs to be developed further, pushed a bit further, it needs to be fleshed out, and that would be the difference between getting 9 marks and 12 marks. There'd be appropriate legal terminology used. So the legal terminology that you'd use would be, well, appropriate. It'd be consistent throughout your answer. When you use it in a sentence, it shouldn't sound out of place. Whereas a level 4 answer would be worth 10 to 12 marks. And it would be an excellent application of legal rules to a given scenario. So the applications of the AO1 to the scenario would be applied excellently. So everything you described for your AO1 would be applied on the AO2. Your AO2 depends on your AO1. So if your AO1, you got top marks on your AO1, then you can improve your AO2. Because then you'll actually have legal rules to apply. So you can't have your AO2 without AO1. AO2 is built on the AO1. You'd also need excellent presentation of a legal argument which is accurate, fully developed and detailed. So once again, your presentation of the legal argument needs to be accurate and fully developed and detailed. Before, it just needs to be detailed but not fully developed in places. For level 3, it needs to be detailed but not fully developed in places. Here it needs to be accurate, so that means no waffling, and it needs to be fully developed, completely fleshed out with as much information you can put into it, as much relevant information you can put into it, not random information that's not relevant to the scenario or the argument you're trying to make. And then fully appropriate legal terminology is used. So once again, consistent legal terminology is used throughout your answer and it doesn't sound out of place. So now that we've familiarized ourselves with the levels, let's look at the scenario before we compare the answers. So this is the same scenario we planned an answer to in the previous video. If you want to plan an answer to this question, then I advise you check out the previous video and see how I planned the answer, and then you can also plan an answer and perhaps write an answer as well, and then come back and watch this video to see the difference between a level 3 answer and a level 4 answer, and then you can also analyze your own answer and see how you can improve your own answer. So you have to advise whether Jane is criminally liable for the murder of Susan and the murder of Susan's unborn child. Now let's look at the level 3 and the level 4 answer. Straight away, you can see the difference between the left and right answers. The left one looks a bit more structured, and the right one doesn't seem to have an introduction. And, well, it looks like there's a lot more criticism on the side written by the examiner. So, let's read the left one. For Jane to be criminally liable for the murder of Susan and her unborn child, the prosecution must prove beyond reasonable doubt that Jane satisfied the necessary mens rea, actus reus, and that Jane's actions caused Susan's and the child's death, which is the causation. Okay, so I'll highlight AO1 in green. So as you can see, that's already worth marks. This first paragraph is already worth some marks. And this intro was missing from this answer over here. So straight away we can guess that this answer on the left hand side would be your level 4 answer. And the one on your right would be the level 3 answer. Murder is a common law offence. So there you go, got an AO1 mark there. So murder is a common law offence of the unlawful killing of a human being under the King's peace with malice aforethought, which is the intention to do GBH or kill. The actus reus of the offence is the unlawful killing of a human being under King's peace. The case re A defined unlawful as there being no legal justification for the murder. The case RV Adam defines a killing as the acceleration of death. So Jane, that's where AO1 ends. So as you can see, there are a lot of ticks, and that is because it's fully developed. The AO1 here is fully developed. So if we take a look at what was needed for the AO1, excellent knowledge and understanding of the rules and principles. And the knowledge and understanding of the rules and principles would have to be fully developed and detailed. And you'd have to cite relevant case laws. So if we take a look here, let's make sure that it's fully developed, detailed, and relevant case laws are cited. And if there's an excellent understanding of murder, of the rules and principles of murder. So I've stated what murder is. It's a common law offence. Most people would miss that here. And then it's the common law offence of the unlawful killing of a human being under the King's peace. And then this is just including all the information you know about murder. So usually an offence would be part of some statute or some act. And because murder is not part of some statute or an act, I'm showing that by saying it's a common law offence. It's an offence that has built over time. The King's peace, malice aforethought, GBH, intention to do GBH or kill. These are all points that show I know what murder is. Then I go on to explain the actus reus is an unlawful killing of a human being under King's peace. And then I use relevant case law, RE. Then I give accurate relevant case law. So I don't give the facts of the case, I only give the legal principle. So here there's nothing the examiner can criticize. It shows excellent knowledge, detailedness, and the case law cited was relevant to the point, and there's no missing information. Oh, also here as well, RV Adams defines a different part of the actus reus. Now let's look at the AO1 of the level 3 answer. Murder is the unlawful killing of a human being under the King's peace with malice aforethought, intention to kill or do GBH. So here you can see that it's missed. It's a common law offence. That's just extra information that most people would miss. The actus reus is the unlawful killing of a human being. So here it was dropped that it was under the King's peace. So yes, the actus reus is the unlawful killing of a human being under the King's peace. Then I cite relevant case law, RE, defined unlawful as there being no legal justification, get a mark for that. And then RV Adams, also get marks for that. And as you can see straight away, relevant information is key, especially for the AO1. And now because I missed the King's peace, I may not mention it again later. And as you can see here, because I forgot to mention the King's peace here, I also forgot to apply it. And because I haven't applied it, I've missed marks out for the AO2. And the examiner would think that it's not... Let me pull up the slide again. They'd think it's not an excellent application of legal rules. I've not applied the legal rules to the scenario. Now if you take a look at the AO2 on the left hand side, Jane hits Susan with a chair crushing her skull. This act was unlawful as Jane had not been given any legal justification to do so. Her action resulted in Susan's death immediately, and therefore accelerated her death. As for under the King's peace, they weren't in a war zone and no one was at war. Hence, Jane satisfies the actus reus of murder for Susan, is what the examiner says I should have included. It's just little details like that. That's the only thing I can be criticised on. Jane hit Susan with a chair, crushing her skull. This act was unlawful as Jane had no legal justification and she has no defence. This act also accelerated her death as she died immediately. It was under the King's peace. Mens rea and causation still need to be applied to find if Jane is criminally liable. It was just mentioned briefly, the King's peace. And as you can see, because it wasn't included in the AO1, it was forgotten and hence wasn't included in the AO2. So that's why it's good to always make sure the legal rules are always explained in the AO1. And then you can just refer to the AO1 to apply those legal rules onto the scenario for your AO2. It's as simple as that. So if your AO1 is lacking, then you can't get marks for AO2. It's pretty much impossible, because if you don't have any information, if you don't know about the legal rules and you can't explain the legal rules, then how are you going to apply those legal rules to the scenario? So you need to be able to understand the legal rules and principles. So here it says you need to explain King's peace and apply it. Also, if you look at this level 3 answer, it's very messy at the end as well. It's very messy, and this here would really agitate the examiner. It'd be hard for them to read, and it just shows that your mind isn't. It just shows that you don't have excellent knowledge in the legal system. You don't have excellent knowledge of criminal law, and what they're looking for the AO2, a good presentation or an excellent presentation of a legal argument, and this here isn't a very good presentation for a legal argument. So hence, your answer needs to be to the point, precise, and concise. But to get a level 4 answer, you don't need to get 100%. You don't need 100% detail. Your answer needs to overall, when the examiner looks at it, when the examiner marks your answer and decides what you get for AO2, she looks at your answer as a whole. The examiner looks at your answer as a whole and they decide what band they're going to put it in. Is it a low level 4, high level 4, high level 3, low level 3? They decide by looking at the answer as a whole to see how consistent your answer is throughout the whole answer. Is it a good knowledge or is it excellent knowledge? They're not going to look at a single detail like here where the student has obviously not completely fully developed it 100%. They're not going to look at this and be like, okay, because of this, he's not going to fit the criteria for a level 4 answer. What they're going to say is the answer as a whole includes a lot of detail. Just this bit here doesn't really impact the marks for the answer, and as you can see, I've got 20 out of 20. So hopefully you've been able to see the difference between a level 3 and a level 4 answer, and now you can turn your old 20 marker answers into level 4 answers worth 20 marks.